guys, Ash here, Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video. I am clearly not alone today. I am joined from left to right, at least on my screen. We have me snuggling up with Cold Brew Gaming here. We have MTG Jedi, we have Scratch, and then we have Nub Raids. Gentlemen, what's up? Wave, because I know you're not going to say hi because you're going to talk all over each other. Guys, we have a lot of news that came to the game. We just recorded a video on Scratch's channel as well. We went really in depth on all of the new, I almost said Hydra clan boss is fresh in the mind. All of the new clan boss skills that are being teased right now. We have a bunch of additional teasers here on Raid Shadow Legends social media. It looks like this is all about this new clan boss that is part of the Void Rift, we think, is all going to be about, well, a lot of annoying stuff, but maybe it looks like Fear and True Fear would play a big part of this battle as well. Again, I'm not going to get into all, I'll flash some of the skills here, but if you want to take a deep dive into all these new things, the new dual effect and the Viper form, the Ram form, what we do know, what we don't know, check out Scratch's video. But guys, any quick thoughts? We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the state of the game a little bit. Hear firsthand from these guys what their clans are going through right now, especially in lieu of the Hydra changes, and then speculate on what I think will be a big like Asgard Monster Hunter campaign to end the year here, including maybe a fusion, free legendary, event dungeon, blah, 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 and why I think that. But let's start with a first take on the new clan boss. What do you guys think?
So let's start from.
I'm going to start calling on you guys. Nub Raids, what do you think of the new clan boss, man?
Yeah, I'm interested. It looks tough. Again, it looks like champions that we wouldn't otherwise use are going to be important. So champions with Fear and True Fear, block active skills, and a big one. I guess we're going to be talking about Hydra in this video as well. But yes, a lot of people are not liking Hydra, but you might as well at least run your keys and start grabbing some of the personal reward things, because it does look like 9-piece protection set could be a huge difference maker to protect block debuffs and stuff like that. Yep. So just get your Hydra, even if you hate it, get it done. So you at least get some stuff to help with the new boss as well.
Yeah, it looks like Fear, True Fear, protected block debuffs, extending the protected block debuffs, a lot of cleansers. These seem to be kind of the fundamentals of the new clan boss. Any of you other guys have any like quick takes on the new clan boss, what we know about it so far?
I think
Scratch, yeah, go.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty challenging, but the most important thing to me will be the rewards. So I just hope they're going to offer some amazing rewards, right? Because the boss seems very, very challenging. Thankfully, they have all of the freaking game modes, all of the difficulty, in these new game modes. So hopefully the rewards will match the difficulty, the challenge, you know?
Yeah. I agree with you. And rewards, we don't, so much we don't know that it's tough to even speculate too much, right? We don't know if it's going to be daily, if it's going to be weekly, if it's going to be bi-weekly. We don't know if like there's all these forms. Are these forms, do they like metamorph into an ultimate form? Do we fight these forms one at a time as a clan? Or do we fight them individually as an individual each time and go through the entire process? We don't know. Do we fight them all at the same time, or do they turn into different forms progressively? So yeah, there's a lot that we don't know. Jedi, what do you think of the rewards? Like, what are you most keen on seeing here from the, like, obviously there needs to be a natural progression and escalation of rewards. What are you looking for?
Well, I'm in the starry-eyed, excited, hopeful phase. And so, right now, we don't know what the rewards are. They could be anything. It could be new awesome things. It could be shards like we all want. But I think ultimately, the end goal is we just want the rewards to be worth the effort. We want to justify our time by getting good rewards out of it. And so I'm open to it. I'm open to whatever good rewards they want to put in, but I think we'll be getting a champion. I can't see them doing this without getting us a new champion. That would be at the top of my list, but there's a lot of cool things they could put in.
Yeah, well, Mithrala was certainly a massive shining point of Hydra, because in the beginning of Hydra, it was a mess, and I imagine this will probably be as well in terms of buggy and everything, but it was like, hey, it's at least going after your Mithrala, because she's going to be a game changer for everybody. Cold Brew, it's in the Void freaking Rift, bro, this new clan boss or whatever. Do you think that this will be the introduction of Void Mythicals? Do you think this first champion that we probably will be associated with this, every game mode has one or more, do you think this will be the introduction of Void Mythicals to the game? Is that something that you'd like to see?
I look, I really hope so, because this will mean it's going to be accessible by everybody who just farms this mode, similarly to how Mithrala is. So if it's going to be a new Void Mythical, I'd love it to be accessible for everyone and not be, strictly behind just summons. So having it, the first one ever to be launched, be through this, I'm totally fine with it. And hoping it is, because it's going to be really powerful.
Yeah, because when you think about it, it's like Void Rift. We got the mythical, the first Void mythical, and then we got like finally an area to like farm quote unquote mythical skill tomes, like some of the scarce resources that are like impossible to get right now, right? But it's interesting that you said that you were so quick to think it was a good thing to have a Void mythical, because obviously the downside is it introduces Void Mythicals as a thing to the game, right? Like a new rarity of Shard or whatever, however they do it. Are any of you guys concerned overall with, I mean, it's inevitable, right? At the end of the day, right? They're going to do it at some point. Yeah. Are any of you guys concerned overall? But that's a really good point, Cold Brew, about like, well, at least the first one should be good and should be available to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I would jump in and I would say, I think a lot of like people that are watching these videos now, they're usually more engaged, right? So I think a lot of them will have a mythical, but it might be just a Mithrala, right? There's probably a pretty big chunk of people that have never actually pulled a mythical, just a normal mythical. So bringing out Void mythicals right now, people would be like, I haven't even pulled a normal mythical, and now you're going to bring out Void one? So I don't know. I don't think the time is right myself for the Void mythicals. But I'd rather see something else personally. I like just a normal mythical. I think normal it'd be mythical,
great. Right? Yeah.
That'd be nice.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That's a good. It's a good flag. I would love to hear from everybody in the comments too. How, like, straight up, how many mythicals do you have? You know, is it 0? Is it 1? Or is some Kraken with all of them in the comments? But it's interesting. Like that's that's both sides of the argument right there. Is like, I don't want to know if I want to open up this can of worms, like Nub said. At the same time, it's like, hey, at least there's one that's accessible to everybody on the Cold Brew side. Okay. So we're getting this. I want to talk a little bit about Hydra. Obviously, this horse has been beaten, rightfully so, this dead horse, about all the ridiculous, unpopular changes, all kind of for no reason, which is like the worst part about the whole thing is like we ended up not that much of a better spot, but everybody was harmed in the entire community over these Hydra changes. They're making little incremental improvements, or they're trying to, but it's not, it's like 1% better, right? These changes. So I wanted to actually get, like, I haven't talked to anybody about this, a little bit scratched, but like, what is, like, firsthand, what are you hearing from, how are your clans dealing with everything? My clan's frustrated, but no one's quit or anything like that. What about you guys? Start with Cold Brew. How's your clan doing?
The frustration comes in mostly through the Hydra, the recent changes, like the nerfs to some of the teams, making it harder, the bugs that exist. It's all added up frustration, because everybody needs to now rebuild their teams and they want to get the rewards every single week. So it all ties in together with frustration also from the time spent within the game, just making it even longer now with rebuilding all the teams. So it's like that, at least for the clan I'm in right now.
Okay, so like super frustrated, but are they hanging in there, or are they quitting?
Yeah, hanging in there. Right. I wouldn't say super frustrated, but okay. It's just frustrating, and you see it on Discord and in the messages that everybody's basically frustrated because mainly of the Hydra changes, the recent Hydra changes.
Yeah, Jedi, what's your clan? What's your clan in community? What are they feeling like right now?
Well, my clan, I think, is not as fussed about it as everyone else is. And maybe I'm wrong. They'll definitely tell me if I'm wrong. But
your clan's going to be all over the comments, right?
Yeah. But I think, honestly, it's the mid-game players that have suffered the most here. Because what I'm hearing the most is that consumption HP bar is the thing that's ending people's fights. We were just talking about it on my stream earlier today. It's enormous for you to be able to, as a mid-game player, to free your champion once that bar gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's how your fight is ending. I think that's the biggest frustration. I thought it was going to be the ally attack multi-hit thing, but in practice, at least from my perspective, it hasn't changed the damage output as much as I thought it would. So I think they could make some easy changes and it would drastically improve things.
Okay. Scratch.
I think a lot of people are pissed off from pretty much every single clan, to be honest. In my clan, I've definitely had quite a few people quitting. Even today, I actually had 2 of them directly, and 2 of the biggest spenders.
I was gonna say this is like, and for clarity, these are the most hardcore. Like these are the Supreme Club members, right?
I don't even think they are in there though.
Okay.
It's not because the Supreme club is still kind of like a bear. I think they haven't invited everybody yet. But they are people that spend over 200K in the game. So they're massive spenders. I'm not talking about somebody who dropped 2K and that's it. Massive spenders. And the main reasons, the changes, the way they are kind of like conducting themselves recently, the offers that they're putting in the game, the energy price increasing, even though they say it's not right. All of these things fill their glass and that's it. They're throwing the towel.
But do you really think that is the same case for everybody? Like, from my perspective, it seems like the most affected people are like the top 20 clans, where we were having so much fun, just like finding new ways to do more damage. Now that's completely cut off.
Yeah, I mean, to Hydra related, but just in general, I feel like all of the people that are kind of like on the verge of quitting for multiple reasons, not just Hydra, they are indeed part of the top clans. At least it feels like the majority of the top clans have issues with this.
Yeah.
Nubs?
Yeah, well, I mean, my clan is one of the top clans, right? So they don't like Hydra changes at all. Like I'd say my clan was a very, very Hydra focused clan, really. I mean, like people quite enjoyed it. A lot of people really min-maxing their teams. So like we've actually benefited from the changes in the sense that our ranking relative to other clans has actually gone up. Like I think we're maybe top 2 or 3 at this point. It's like we're pretty high up there, but the players are enjoying it way less. I'm sure if you asked any one of them, I'll put words in their mouth, but I think they'd all happily go back to what it was before. I don't think any of them are enjoying it. They're enjoying it much less, even though we're actually performing better. So I thought that's an interesting take.
Yeah.
Our clan's doing better, but having less fun. And so I don't know. It's pretty negative about Hydra.
I had the same experience, honestly. My clan's been doing a lot better in the last couple Hydra clashes, but people seem to be like, I think it's also a little bit psychological where you're getting less damage. You feel like everything's been nerfed that you have. You feel like, and it's like, even if your clan's doing better as a result, and that's not the case across the board, but like you still look at the negatives because it sucks to have everything more difficult and nothing adjusted in terms of like the rewards or anything like that, to compensate or other options. And just like I have their social media account in the background, guys. I wanted to talk a little bit about these teasers, and it's just so telling right now. It does feel pretty dire. Like a lot in the community are super frustrated, and I haven't seen it quite like this before. And it's just, it's tough too. Like, what can you do other than pass along the feedback here and hope they don't continue to screw things up, and hope they actually see the frustration and make some more aggressive changes. But like they're teasing all this stuff about the new clan boss and new champions and stuff, and every response, everyone is about, why are you forcing us to play live arena? Why did you nerf Hydra clan boss? Why, downfall happening? You're screwing the community. Get lost. Like people are very mad. So let's try to turn this into the natural next question. And that is, do you guys think that actually, I'm going to save this question for last. Before that, because I want to see if you guys think this will help anything. The new clan boss, right? Clan boss is historically one of the most exciting things in the game, right? People love old school clan boss. People love Hydra clan boss. Now, if we get another new clan boss, and let's just say they don't screw it up, right? Or at least they fix it quickly if it's super buggy at launch. I also think that on our last closed door call that apparently we're allowed to talk about because everybody's talked about it with the developer, they mentioned that the event dungeon was a huge success. Right, I'm sure it brought in a lot of money, because that's what success, frankly, probably means, right? And we had a fusion, we had limited edition, we have Deck of Fates, we had a lot of good, a lot of bad. But I think overall, I think that from my viewers, what I've seen in the comments at least, most people really did like the concept of the event dungeon. Obviously, like people like the free legendary and Loki. Like no one really complained about that. And people love Thor, right? Like they love the fusion too. So I think that we're going to be getting another one here. Like they've been teasing all these things about a nice Revenant champion and stuff like that, potentially. And maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I think before the end of the year, Plarium historically has these like big, like premier fusion, premier events, like Monster Hunters, and then going before that, and now like with the event dungeon, everything like that. It even says coming soon on the dungeon right now. So I think we're going to be getting a free daily login like legendary again before the end of the year here, probably around the same time. Maybe it's correlated with a new clan boss, maybe not. But I think it's going to be the whole shebang all over again. Why? Because bottom line, it made them a lot of money, I feel like, right? So like, let's do this again. So I think we're going to be getting another one. I don't know. First of all, do you guys agree with me? Did anybody agree or disagree strongly with that?
I would strongly agree with the free login for sure. Like,
Yeah.
I think they've been doing those a lot. Even they even brought Ninja back this
Oh, there's
year,
more
right?
and more. It feels like, yeah.
So it's been a while since we've had one. I think we're definitely due one. December, just it makes a lot of sense. So I'd be expecting like whatever 31st November, 1st of December, boom, new login champion. You convinced me as well that it could easily tie into these big mega events. They're doing these themed things like Asgard Divide and something. I could totally see that. Yeah. 100%.
All these big IP collabs and stuff that they do, like they all do very well for Plarium, and I think that the community generally likes them too. I don't mean to make it sound like so cynical on those, but like obviously from their point of view, it's definitely a consideration. So I think there's going to be another event dungeon. I'm kind of excited about it because who doesn't love a free legendary, right? I'm sure there'll be a lot of pain points along the way though, like like more crappy deck of fates and communication stuff. But one can hope, but not hold their breath, that we'll learn from some of the communication mistakes in the past. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? Like, because then I guess and at least the next question might be a better like jumping off point for you guys is, let's assume we get another free legendary login. Let's assume we get another fusion or two. They seem to be coming fast and furious. Event dungeon, new clan boss, all before the end of the year. Is that enough to turn the tide of the current sentiment in the community? Scratch, yeah, go for it, man.
Let me kick on it. I think he's not, bro. You know why? Because the people are not pissed off because of the lack of content, right? The people are not pissed off that we're not getting another free legendary. So I think the people that made their mind are pretty set on it, unless they're really bringing something like you mentioned. Maybe they're gonna do a similar thing like Monster Hunter, unless they're bringing something from an IP that they really like, and that will hold them back. But I feel like the rest of them will definitely be a bit unaffected by these upcoming changes, content, etc. And not to sound just negative and stuff, I do want to give them big props for all of the free 7-day login champions. I feel like I've played tons of different games, and while a lot of people complain that they're not getting enough free stuff in the game, I do want to say that they are giving us more free stuff in terms of 7-day login champions than any other game out there. That is a decent game. I'm not talking about awful games that nobody wants to play, right? Because they're so bad. I'm talking about good games. I feel like they're doing an amazing job to that. So keep on bringing the 7-day login champions. Plarium make it in that 2-4 because I like it with 14 days. Get a soul as well,
For sure. Anybody? So you seem to, Scratch, if I'm reading you right, you're like, yeah, I like it. It's not going to, I really like it, but it's probably not going to be enough. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's how I feel, because there are other core issues right now.
All right.
Nerfing 800 champions to fix one, and just kind of like a few different things,
Anybody disagree? Anybody think that, yeah, this is like, anybody more optimistic or pessimistic than Scratch?
I'm always the optimist, so I'll
Okay.
jump in.
Yeah.
I think creative distraction is a very good tactic. And these types of distractions are great. And I think that the event dungeon has been maybe the best thing that they've done in years for the game. That's something that we've wanted for the longest time, like real events in the game. And you can really structure it through the event dungeon, just like you were saying there, with all of those parts going together. So I know that the Monster Hunter collab and some of those other things have really brought in a lot of new players as well.
Yeah.
So if we get a 2025 fix the game motto, I think that could be a really awesome jumping off point. Is we get an event dungeon and a login champion and a sweet collab. We have the new Chimera clan boss, and then they start going through and fixing stuff in 2025. So I think that could be the direction that we're headed.
Cold Brew Nubs, how about you guys? Either of you guys feel, you know, either more towards Jedi or more towards Scratch there? Nubs, go for it.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like a lot of the negativity as well. One thing I'd definitely be worried about, like, will this new Chimera potentially clan boss fix the negativity? I mean, it looks really hard. I think that there's a vocal minority of people that don't like stuff that's hard in the game, honestly, and that's just gonna fuel more hate. Like, I think for people that hate the game, it's gonna just get it. They're not gonna be like, "Wow, this new clan boss is amazing." It's gonna be, "This clan boss is too hard. I can't beat it," and that's gonna fuel a lot of that negativity in the comment section as well.
Yeah.
Which is a pity.
Yes,
I
yes.
don't know. It's a hard one to know what to like. The only thing you can do is really for yourself as well. It's just, you know, how do you deal with the negativity? I find it draining for myself personally in the comment section. It's always negative. Like, I'm nowhere near as negative about stuff at all.
Yeah.
I kind of try to avoid that at least a little bit. You know, you have to. It's important. It's sort of our job to engage with our communities, but you also have to moderate that yourself and not get consumed by this negativity that's not really helping or changing anything. It's just making you miserable. And
I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it is justified in terms of, like, a
Yeah.
lot of the
Oh, yeah,
frustrations are justified, but you're right.
100%.
It's like some people in the comments, how, like, I understand the frustration, but some people how upset or how angry, or people in the comments who, like, ask me, and I'm sure you guys get it all the time, like, why do you even cover this stupid game anymore? I almost feel like being like, why do you watch videos of this stupid game anymore? You know, no offense.
Yeah.
Like, I like, it's a very, very real part of me that understands at the same time. It's like, dude, it's an option to cover this game, and it's an option to play the game and to watch the free videos on the game, you know? But, like, I guess I'm kind of with you, Nubs. Like, it's just, you know, I really, to be optimistic, to be class half full here is, although I'm very cynical at the same time, right? I'm in a tough spot, right? But, like, a lot of these changes, these pain points are pretty easy to fix, you know? Like, instead of adding a million new champions, continue with more aggressive, maybe a little bit more buffs, right? Like, give champions new skills that can help us in new help players in newer content, right? Update them a little bit, right? It's not that hard. You know, like, balance changes are pretty easy. Like, I don't know much about programming and a lot of other stuff, but, like, balance changes and then other little small quality of life things, you know? Like, sometimes I feel like Plarium, when they're going to deliver bad news, they just need a better PR team or something, you know? Like, give a little too, right? Like, I think that you were right, Jedi, when you mentioned that people are, like, they're pretty easy to please as long as you show them you're listening and you try to make some, like, changes. And I feel like sometimes that's where they miss the mark, is like, okay, maybe they did feel like there was a necessary change that was going to be difficult to swallow for everybody on Hydra. But at the same time, like, why don't you give a little at the same time, right? Like, it just felt like this is all take on this last one. But I'll get off my soapbox. Cold Brew, you have any thoughts to add there? What about you, man? Where do you stand on like, on a personal level of all this new stuff and kind of the state of the game?
Look, I love when they add new stuff into the game, but I also like it when they say, okay, we know that we are adding new stuff, but we're also adjusting this, and this. So if they came up with a bigger plan and just say it to the community, and don't just be hiding all the information and slowly feeding it to them, it just creates frustration when everything we know is, oh, the Hydra got nerfed and all our teams are broken now. So that just feeds into frustration. If they gave us, okay, our plan is this, more of like the roadmaps we used to have, but with a little bit more details, that would have been more appreciated, I would say. More visual, like the visual roadmaps we used to have was just a huge map with things we could see for the next year or so. That was a lot more intriguing and appealing to the players who just knew, okay, if I wait it out, this is going to come into the game and that's going to be amazing. Yeah. So I think that's what's missing at the moment.
All right, well, hey guys, I appreciate all the candor here about the state of the game, the potential new event, potential new champions, potential new clan boss, and whatever else is going to come throughout the rest of the year here. As I mentioned at the top of the video, we did a collab on Scratch's channel. Guys, thanks again for coming on. I want to hear from you guys now in the comments. If you're watching this video still at this point, drop a line. Let us know how you personally feel and how your clan has been impacted, because as you heard, most of us are in fairly end game or high end clans. So definitely we're cognizant of the fact that, you know, we do have the comments, we do have Discord and stuff like that, but we'd love to hear from you guys, because I would be very curious too how all this stuff impacts, you know, newer clans. Or is it, I can imagine it must be almost impossible to recruit right now or start a new clan, you know, unless you're merging from somewhere else. But anyway, guys, I digress. Can't wait to read the comments. Thank you again to Cold Brew, to MTG Jedi, to Scratch, and to Nubraids. I'll have all their channels linked in the show notes below. With that said, take care, guys.